What's up, Cloud Gamers? Welcome to the Cloud Gaming Extreme podcast, CGX cast. So as you can see, the panel is a little different today. So we have some members that are not here this week, but then we have an addition of a guest by the name of Chase. Chase, how are you, sir?
I am good, Ace and panel. How are you, my friend?
Good, good. All right, so we're going to kick it off like we always do with just an introduction of the guest members of the panel and just get a sense of what game they play, what platform they playing those games on. So to get started, let's go with you, Holtz. How are you, sir?
I am great, thank you. So this week I dived into Elder Scrolls Online Greymore because it had a great sale that I couldn't refuse. So I'm like a magpie, so I went, oof, that's a great price. And I sort of dived a few hours in and I'm really enjoying it.
Nice, nice. Okay, you, Jared, what game have you been playing in what platform?
So I'm still playing a lot of Horizon Zero Dawn right now. I'm trying to wrap up some of my time with that, and of course, I'm playing the Avengers beta since yesterday, and just
Ooh.
messing with that on a few different systems because trying to get a bunch of test videos ready. But that's pretty much all I've had time to mess with. I've got probably over 30 hours in Horizon right now, and I probably
Dang.
messed with that beta for 4 or 5 hours at least.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I think I'm like getting good at editing at the same time as playing, like on my feet, like just doing everything at once because there's only one me, and it's getting a little crazy. But
that is crazy. How you liking Horizon?
I think it's great. I mean, I know the bugs. I've had probably 3 crashes in that 30 some hours. Some things here and there, but for the most part, I think it's a beautiful game. Runs really well, and it's another good PS4 port.
Right. Did you play it on the PS4? Is this
I didn't.
Okay.
No.
So it's all new. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Cool. Chief, how are you, sir? What have you been playing and what platform?
I've been doing lots of platform overviews, so not really had a lot of time to play this week. But when I have got a chance to play, I keep going back to Rogue Company at the moment.
Oh.
It's funny that Holt said about Elder Scrolls Online. I keep forgetting that I have that game. I need to go back to that at some point.
So I thought last podcast you stated that you weren't too good at Rogue. It's pretty interesting seeing you going. Not last podcast. When did I think 2 podcasts ago. You said you kept dying, right?
Yeah,
So
I'm not great at any first-person shooter, to be honest.
Okay.
But I dived into Hyperscape when it relaunched, realized just how crap I am at that game, and went back to Rogue Company and got a few kills. And like, yeah, okay, I'm sticking with Rogue Company.
It's funny. Duncan, how are you, sir? What games have you been playing?
I am outstanding. I have been playing some Orcs Must Die on Stadia. I've also been playing some Division 2 on Stadia. I have been playing some Assassin's Creed on Geforce, and I have started up my PlayStation today, but we're not going to talk about that. So, because we've redone the whole downstairs, and we've now got a big, massive gaming room. So we're in a state of flux here. So our front room is nothing but 2 TVs and every single game console you can think of. So we're working away here.
Wow,
Sounds perfect.
That's awesome. How about you, Chase? What games have you been playing? What platform?
Well, it's been sporadic. I've been lucky to game maybe a couple hours every week just because of work. But as Mark Chief mentioned, Rogue Company has been a breath of fresh air. And I think it's because it's the perfect blend. It's like Counter-Strike, SOCOM, and Rainbow Six Siege had a baby. It's the perfect blend of those 3 games. And one thing that I say all the time to developers: keep it simple. We don't need 50 kill streaks in a game. It's a pure third-person shooter, and that's what makes it great. And then beyond that, I picked up Lost Words Beyond the Page again today. I haven't finished that game still, but it's such a great game. I'm really impressed with it. I'm really enjoying it. I think there's been some emotional moments in the game that actually got me a couple of times. They've done a really good job with that game. So that's been on Stadia. And Rogue Company's been on PlayStation. Sorry.
Nice. Wow. It's pretty cool. I got to get back to Lost World. I started the game, but never finished. I think a game came out right after it, and I just switched over and never came back. But it's pretty cool to see you still playing that, man. It's pretty cool. So, as you guys can see in this panel, we are missing Ben, we're missing Sunny, and we're missing Mark. So, this is again just a different panel, but I think it's good. We have a topic that I'm interested in talk about, and I think Chase being here will be a great person for that conversation. So, again, we do this every Tuesday, every Saturday at 2 p.m. So, if you guys like this, definitely mark your calendars for that. All right, so we got a packed show. And to begin this show, we're going to talk about Cyberpunk 2077. Now, they held another live wire, I believe is the event they call, and this was episode 2 of it. And they had a lot to say about the game. It's Night City Wire. My bad, butchered that. But this game is looking incredible. The more I see it, the more I want to play it. This game was already on my anticipated list of games that I want to play this year. But just want to talk to the panel about Cyberpunk. Did you guys catch this Night City Wire episode 2 event? And also, what platform? Because this is another game that's going to come out for Stadia. It's going to come out for Geforce Now, same day release. Again, we still don't know when Stadia is going to get it. But also, because it's a PC game, you should be able to play it on Shadow. So we're just going to start with the panel, see if you guys caught this event, and see what platform you guys are going to choose to play this game on. So to get started, Jerry, what's your take on this? Did you catch this event?
Okay, I didn't catch the event. It's been really busy, so I didn't get to see that. I started kind of watching it before we came on here, but as far as the platform side goes, I'm a little bit different because I'll be testing it on so many things. So I will buy it on console and PC and Stadia and all that as it comes out. But if I were to just buy it on, or what I'm going to play it on personally, will be PC, because we've got new cards coming out. New RTX cards should be coming out supposedly in September, and that game is going to be absolutely gorgeous. I think it's going to be the implementation of ray tracing. I think is going to be gorgeous. Hopefully, even better than the level of Control. But so I definitely will be playing it on PC the most, and then also that will give me GeForce Now. We know it's going to be on their launch day, so I'll be able to play it wherever I go as well with ray tracing, and then eventually they're going to upgrade those pretty quickly as well to the next RTX. So for me, I'll be playing at PC and GeForce Now most of the time.
Nice. Excitement wise, where are you with this game? Are you pumped for it? Or are you just like, meh?
Yeah, I'm pretty much 10 out of 10 on pump for Cyberpunk. I was ready in April. I was absolutely ready. And then when they delayed it to September 17th, I felt crushed because I've really been waiting. But at the same time, I trust CD Projekt Red. They have a great reputation. They needed to delay it. Now, I wasn't as happy about the second delay because I'm pretty sure that got delayed to be a launch title with consoles to help them out a little bit more than needing to be ready. They've already kind of stated, yeah, it's ready to go. We're just not going to launch it till the new consoles come out. So I kind of think that's what's going on with that. But it's okay. I'm fine with it. But I'm definitely hyped for that. It's one of my top games for this year to jump into this fall for sure.
Nice. Cool. Holtz, how about you? What's your take on this event?
So I didn't see the event, but I caught up on many streams watching it, and I'm really excited for the game. And the platform I'm going to pick is Stadia for the 4K HDR. I really wanted to do Shadow because I might add the Infinity tier, but because that's been delayed, I'd rather have the next one. I'm looking forward to at least having a look what it's like on GeForce Now with the ray tracing. But overall, it's definitely going to be Stadia. Now watching all these streams, I've already picked my character. I'm going to be a nomad. I'm going to be walking around like Mad Max, like this loon from the wastelands. I'm going to come into Night City. I'm going to take what's mine. And I'm not excited for the game. I've already thought what I want in my character: hidden blades, tough skin, and Night City better beware. I'm not psyched.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love what they showed about the game. If you guys haven't watched this event, you're excited about this game, you need to, because you see the different ways that you can start the game, and there's a couple of different ones, but Nomad stands out. So it's pretty cool that that's the one that you're going to pick. And then the weapons, my goodness, but we'll get more into that in a bit. But for you, Chase, what's your take on Cyberpunk? What platform are you going to get it on?
Yeah, I always split up how I view things. You know, I look at things in more of a general consumer marketplace view, and then there's also my personal view on things, and they're two totally different viewpoints. Like my personal view doesn't actually align with how I look at things from the business side of the house. So for me, I'm willing to wait. You know, I know some people care about day and date for this game. I don't really care one way or the other. It doesn't bother me personally. So Stadia, like Holtz, will probably be where I play it. Part of that's because of the convenience. I want to be able to take it in multiple places. I know I can do that because of, you know, already being in the Google ecosystem. As far as like broader landscape for the game, you know, I didn't get to catch the event live. I did get to see some recaps on it. I think the different paths that you can take are very interesting in this game. And I thought the corporate one, I think that one's going to probably speak to a lot of people. You're going to see a lot of people go that route. But I thought the Nomad was actually kind of interesting too. And I saw a lot of people hate on that one. I don't know. I think that one's kind of interesting. It's a different kind of take to me. So game looks great. It's beautiful. It's a game that everyone's been anticipating, and that's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah. So how long are you willing to wait for it? Because I think it's been confirmed, right? That it's going to come out this year. But if the game was to get pushed back, which a lot of people are speculating, right, that it might, how long would you be willing to wait for Google Stadia to get this?
Well, again, I'll speak to my personal use case. It doesn't bother me. You know, I've got enough of a back catalog on Stadia that,
True.
You know, I'm playing games. I kind of bounce around. I never play something consistently right now, depending on the mood that I'm in. But what I will say, and I'm going to flip the coin on this one, is from the consumer marketplace viewpoint, this is an uphill battle that Google's going to be facing on this, because it does matter to people day and date. Like people, they care about that. And it's more so on the spoiler side of things. People don't want to go 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. They find out from another streamer what's going on in the game. And then they get to the game and go, well, Jesus, I already knew that was going to happen. Like, what was the point? So you're going to see a lot of people have to make a tough decision here, that if they're already on the Stadia ecosystem, you may see some jump ship and go over to Geforce Now. If they want to go with the cloud experience, you may see some stick with the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox Series X. It just depends. So,
right. Yeah, this is going to be a really popular game, and people are going to be talking about it, right? And so for Stadia to be the only, pretty much, console or cloud gaming service, if you want to call it that, that doesn't have it, it's going to be quite interesting to see how, you know, Stadia fans are going to be willing to wait and be patient enough for this. But good point with that. How about you, Duncan? What's your take on Cyberpunk, and what platform are you going to play it on?
I'm going to just start by saying what character I'm going to choose, and it'll all depend on the day when I actually launch it up and what one looks cool, whatever takes my fancy. But at this moment in time, it's the corporation one, which is I'm having my eye on. What platform I'm going to play on is going to be a very, very telling one. There's so many variables with the Stadia version. It's just out there. And if you go back and look at the language, it doesn't even confirm it's coming out this year. It's set to launch, so there is wriggle room there for not coming out there. So I've actually looked up the wording, and it's set to launch on the same year. So it's interesting language. Right. At this moment in time, if I was a betting man, I'm going to get on Geforce Now for 2 reasons. Because we know it's coming at launch, and it's going to be £20 cheaper. So yeah, you have to figure that into it as well, because you can get it on CD keys now for £35, which. Yeah, and me just saying that, I think I got Holtz interested there, because I think this is going to be £55 on Stadia. So there's another wrinkle there. You can pick this up for a lot cheaper and pick it up for Geforce Now. So that is something else to keep an eye on.
Good to know. Good to know. How about you, Chief? What platform, and are you excited about Cyberpunk coming out?
Yeah, I'm excited for Cyberpunk. I didn't watch the event. I did catch up on some of the videos. I'm trying not to watch too much, because I think they're giving away too much. I'm starting to get a little bit... We're not underhyped for Cyberpunk, because it just seems to be in my face every day for the last month or so.
Right.
When Legion is coming out, a few weeks beforehand, and I'm really hyped for Legion. I'm kind of gutted that Cyberpunk is kind of drowning out any kind of news on that front. But I will be definitely picking it up. I'll most likely pick it up on something like Steam. One for being able to play on GeForce Now, but also because I want to see how the 2080s maximum settings rig plays it. If it is that higher quality, then the input lag might be worth it. But if GeForce Now gets the 2080s up there and or their Ampere cards, then GeForce Now is going to be a win for me. I'll be very interested to see how Stadia can compare.
Right.
Cyberpunk has probably got to be, I'd say, one of the next Crisis. Can it run Crisis? Can it run Cyberpunk 2077
Right.
on anything above medium settings? I think it's going to be one of those type of games. So Stadia is really going to have to flex its muscles on this one, I think.
Right.
But if it comes out more expensive as well, that could be another nail in the coffin for me. But yeah, I'll definitely be picking it up on Steam, and I'll be watching closely what happens with Stadia, whether I switch over or not.
Right. No, that's a great point. And I think with this game, like we stated earlier, it's going to be pretty much one of the biggest games coming out this year. And for me personally, I would love to play it on Stadia because, like I've stated here on this channel, I feel like Stadia is one of the most reliable cloud game platform or service to where you boot it up, you're able to play, you get right in, no issues, no problems. But right now, though, GeForce Now, I think they want to make a statement with this game. It seems like. I mean, they have been posting on their Twitter, right? Again, the same day release, they flexing their RTX muscle, ray tracing muscles. So I think it's going to be pretty interesting to see how this plays out. And there's also rumors and talks about Game Pass getting it same day release, and who knows how that's going to play out if this is going to be playable on Game Pass. But this is definitely one to keep your eyes on, guys. And so if you guys are looking for that big AAA title for cloud gaming, for Stadia, for GeForce Now, for Shadow, definitely mark this one down on your calendar.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Oh, what I was just going to say as well is, remember we've got the NVIDIA press conference on the 1st of September.
Yeah.
Would it be out from the realms of possibility that we get something out from that where we may see Cyberpunk being 4K as well? Just to show off their new
Could be.
cards.
Well, they've
Because
got the 2080 Ti Cyberpunk edition, haven't they? Could there be an Ampere announcement of their Cyberpunk version?
Yeah, that's for them. Because they've been really, really pushing this, and that could be the showcase title to kick off GeForce Now. See, that's one of the reasons I'm going to be watching this conference at the end of the month or beginning of next month, because I think there is going to be something going on there, because you can see GeForce Now is just starting to push out a load of things, which we're going to come on to later as well.
I want to throw something in on that. I would, and I don't want to speak for the rest of the world, but I just want to caution folks in North America, you're seeing data caps get thrown back on. And with 4K and with the amount of data that's using, I've been a big proponent of this. Ace has known this before when I've talked about it, but I think we're going to start getting to a space, y'all, where this might be the last point where we start seeing, is 4K achieved by a card, or is it achieved through computational algorithms and through AI? Because at the end of the day, all consumers are going to care about is, does the image look as good, if not better, than the competition? They're not going to care if it's a baked chicken nugget or a fried chicken nugget. All they want to know is that the image looks as good. So I think for people that care about it from, again, the hardcore, mid-core gaming demographic, the cards make absolute sense. But I think in North America, there's going to be some problems with 4K without there being some type of compression. And I'm talking about, again, the cloud gaming side of it, not necessarily local hardware.
Good point. Good point. Yeah, definitely stuff to think about and look forward to. But Duncan, that's announcement, definitely, I didn't even think about that. I think it'll be a good place for them to flex this game for sure, right? And flex the muscles when it comes to unveiling the new graphics card, putting in the cloud, offering 4K. It's going to be insane. It's going to be insane. Cool. All right. So I don't know if anyone else in the panel has anything else they want to say about Cyberpunk, but I'm going to move on to Fortnite and all this going on with Epic and Fortnite and Apple. I actually love what's going on. If I know, like, if you in the business, if you work for Epic or Apple, this might be a headache, but I think this is great for the consumers right now. And in a way, it's just like telling Apple, hey, like, you can't run things the way you do. And Epic, like, hey, you can't come here and boss people around. But anyway, I think this is great for cloud gaming because, again, like I said, it's probably going to take little legal matters for Apple to let other cloud gaming platforms in iOS, and I think we're kind of seeing stuff like that unveil here. So I just want to ask the panel, what's your take on this whole Fortnite, Epic Game, Apple, Google situation? So let's start with Duncan. What's your take on this?
I'm the same as you. I'm absolutely loving it. I'm laughing my bits off with all what's going on. It's absolutely really, really funny. And Epic has just been sporting for the fight because I had everything up and ready to go. The Fortnite video, the legal action. It's absolutely brilliant. It's a soap opera, so it is. With what's going on, I know some people might not agree with this, but I think things are going to happen from this. And if you remember back, can you remember what actually started the crossplay situation many, many years ago? It's Holtz knows where I'm going with this. It's Epic accidentally on purpose switched on crossplay for PlayStation and Xbox and stuff like this. Tim Sweeney and Epic are brilliant at this sort of thing. Even if you don't like them, they know how to play the situation to get what they want. And I think this is what they're doing. They're playing the situation, and I think Apple and Google will eventually have to do something. It might not be down to the 10%, but I think there is going to be movement of some sort of it going forward.
Okay. How about you, Jerry? Let's get to you about this whole situation.
I got the way I found out about this was hilarious. My phone started going off like crazy. It's my freaking niece and nephew. What happened to Fortnite? Because they know I'm looking at everything. I'm like, what do you mean? And I was busy editing and stuff. And I jump on and I see what's going on. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I told them, this is what's going on. Xbox and PlayStation and PC will be back on soon. Hang in there, because his PlayStation one wouldn't even work because they had to shut everything off for a little while and then get it going. Yeah, so that's how all of that started. And I saw a funny meme earlier with Godzilla was Epic, and then two other monsters are like Google and Apple, and like Epic. It was hilarious, and I'm like, okay, they're all huge companies. I don't know who everybody loves and hates, but I really loved seeing that. And it takes a huge company to take on huge companies.
Yeah,
and a lot of developers have been griping about the 30%. Apple usually more than others, but a lot of people don't realize Google charges the same 30%. So for any company to step up like they did, the way they normally would, and do something like that, I'm really happy to see it. And maybe it will help everybody out in the long run. Nobody really cares if Epic gets another 15%. They don't need it. But if this battle helps to get the smaller developers to not pay that 30%, that could make a huge difference. Think about 30% of your income on something like that. So really cool to see it. I found out in an interesting, annoying way, but it's really fun to see it happen. And if I find that meme, I'm going to put it on Twitter later.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
That is funny. The way you found out. Yeah, I didn't even know until like 2 or 3 hours after it happened. I think I was having an open mic segment and someone was like, "Hey, did you hear?" But that's funny. How about you, Chief? What's your take on this?
Being a developer, I find this hilarious. For one reason more than others, but Epic knew exactly what they were doing, so they are not the victim in this in the slightest. They had this plan. This was very well orchestrated.
They did.
Anybody who thinks that they could get that video up, those court papers up, which would have taken months to draft and get approved, within hours, within minutes, going up. This was very well orchestrated. However, Epic's mobile success for both iOS and Android are very much thanks to Apple and Google's massive ecosystem that they have built over the last 10, 15 years. And
Right.
that's the reason why they take that 30% cut of in-app purchases only. Okay, there's a minor developer fee. It's nothing. It's like 80 quid a year. Who cares, right?
Mm.
The fact that those ecosystems have allowed Epic to reach 40 billion players, right,
Wow.
for free, unless they buy through the app on their phone. You know, they could go and buy those V-Bucks or those free credits on PC and not pay that 30%. They've always had that option. It's only if they buy directly through the mobile app. So I think that, one, yes, it would be great if they win, because it means that they're going to have to lower those fees for everybody. But on the other hand, these terms of service have not changed in 15 years.
Hmm.
It has always been, you can use our system for a developer fee. We will put it out to the millions, billions of users that you can access. And all they ask is a 30% of the purchases that you are charging for. So most people will just add 30% on, right? Or say go to the website if you don't want to pay the 30% fee. But if you want
Right.
the ease of everything's tied into your Google Pay or your Apple Pay, for you to click a button on your phone and buy those V-Bucks, you know you're going to be paying that 30% extra. It's not
Right.
been a secret. It's never been hidden, right? Every developer has always shirked about it. But at the end of the day, they are getting to reach billions of users that you would never be able to do before. So,
Right.
okay, Epic, you want to play the good guy here, but no, bite the hand that feeds you. They can quite
Right.
easily just shut them down.
Right. True. It's I'll get to my point in a bit, but yeah, good point with that. How about you? So I've been waiting for this, Chase. I want to hear your input on this situation because again, you I think are very insightful with stuff like this. So what's your take on this?
Well, I think everybody's had good points, and I think it kind of leads to a crescendo of what the reality is. And there's two pathways with this argument, and you know what Marchief said about how they had these papers ready to go and this was a calculated decision. It absolutely was. As soon as Microsoft and Google made that, or more so Microsoft made their statement, immediately they filed these papers. This is a public perception campaign. This is not a legal campaign. I'm going to explain that in a second, what I mean by that. Because on the public perception side of the house, I think this can change things. I think the public may push Apple versus legal pushing Apple because of choosing not to purchase and things like that. They'll be forced to have to make a decision if revenue goes down and if they don't move units. But on the legal side of the house, on this specific argument about the 30%, this is not it. They made the argument in their injunctive relief filing that this is anti-competitive, and it's not. You can go to any ecosystem. Someone could go buy a PlayStation. Someone could go buy a Microsoft Xbox. There's different avenues that you can play this game. That's not the single entity that controls the entire internet. And they are trying to make a disingenuous argument about that. And the 30% itself is we see it in other companies and other ecosystems where companies take a percentage to use their database or their services. So they're not going to win this. Court precedent has been pretty clear on this over the years. And I don't see that the court's going to change their position on this specific issue. I think Epic is going to lose. I would be shocked if the courts change direction on this specific perspective, because it would open up a whole can of worms in a lot of other cases that have already been decided. You'd start seeing refilings of all kinds of stuff. But I think the more interesting side of this, I know we're not talking about this, Ace, but I want to throw this in here real quick, is when Google and Microsoft filed their lawsuit, and trust me, that lawsuit is coming. It will happen at some point in regards to the cloud gaming version of their ecosystems being rejected by Apple. Apple's position is we can't regulate the ratings of these games. If that's the case, then how are you allowing Netflix on? Netflix is being regulated by a ratings board for their movies. It's a disingenuous argument that in a legal position, they're not going to be able to win. Because games are rated by what? ESRB, USK. There's a lot of different ratings boards across the world. So on that side of the argument, that is where Apple is absolutely going to lose. If they get into a legal battle on that position, and that's going to be their legal position, if that's where they're going to, hang their hat on, They will lose that in a court of law. There's no way that that's going to stand as far as that position. So that's...
Sorry, just to jump in, there is another clause that is written into their terms of service regarding game streaming specifically, which is what they'll actually hang their court on.
They can, but I'm going to tell you that's going to be invalidated by the court, guaranteed.
Yeah, you would hope so, and that's what they should file the suit against. The comment, it was a comment and a statement. It's not in their terms of service around the game regulation. I don't know why they were stupid enough to spout that.
But see, that's the whole thing. That is where they played their, and I hate to say it like this, but they're almost playing their hand ahead of the actual, what I would call the legal competition, which is the court. The court's going to see that public position, going to go, if I was a good, not defense attorney, but the plaintiff, right, coming forward and saying, hey, this is what our cause is, they're going to go back to that public position and go, but you said this publicly. You said this is the reason that you're doing it. And Apple's going to be in trouble. And just because you put something in terms of service, and you're absolutely right, Mark Chief, I was going to bring that up, that doesn't necessarily mean it's legal. It can be invalidated by a court of law. So I just don't think that that's going to stand. I think that is going to get overturned if a lawsuit is filed on that.
I love this. This is so cool to see, y'all's intake, and I'm learning as you guys speak. So love it. That's why, again, I said Chase would be a good person for this topic. So yeah, Holtz, want to know what your thoughts are.
See, I was leaning to more being Apple because I believed, Epic agreed to the terms of service and they went behind people's back to change it. Now, if a law gets passed and things get changed, I think it's going to bite all these big companies in their, backside. So in the end, they think they're being clever, but when these new laws affect them, I think they're going to say, oh, God, everyone's saying anti-consumer, or we don't like your terms, we're going to change it by this new law. And I think it's going to affect them until they all level out a little bit, shall I say.
Okay. So when it comes to cloud gaming, though, right, do you guys feel like this is beneficial for the cloud gaming platform? Do you guys see this being something that actually forces Apple's hand to allow eventually cloud gaming platforms other than blockchain?
I don't think this has anything to do with cloud gaming at all. This is Epic flexing their muscles. Yeah. As Chase said earlier, the likelihood is that Microsoft and NVIDIA will now go ahead and file lawsuits against the App Store regulations, which I think would be valid and would probably quite easily get overturned. And Apple would cave because that would bring millions of users to their platform and they could potentially charge that 30% cut or whatever the new percent cut becomes of the subscription of anybody who signs up through mobile. So it's a no-brainer from their point of view, but it's in their terms of service, and Apple state that they will stand by their terms of service, regardless of who you are and how much money you want to throw at them. If it's in their terms of service, App Store regulations say no.
Right. So
except if you're Amazon.
Sure.
Which is true. And if we go back to just the general cloud gaming, Xcloud is mentioned in the suit, which Epic has brought towards Apple. They're mentioning that they have stopped Xcloud going onto the service. It's actually in part of the legal documents as well. So it is mentioned.
The anti-competition stuff, the anti-competition.
Anti-competition, which the 30% isn't. They're trying to put two arguments into one, and they're not the same. They're not the same.
And there's Paul Stadia saying, if you want some competition, bring Fortnite to Stadia. We'll welcome you. Come on.
Well,
we've got competition.
And they're saying, oh, sorry, we're busy. We're busy trying to sue Apple.
What's interesting is I think what's actually going to force Apple's position on this, and I said it on another podcast, is, again, North America has not really adopted mobile gaming the way that the rest of the world has, because we've grown up with TVs and physical boxes in our homes. The rest of the world and the rest of the landscape, like in places like India and Korea, that is how they choose to game, is mobile gaming. They've grown up playing on their mobile devices. And you're already seeing in Korea that the install rate for Apple devices actually is going up. Apple had a campaign, and I can't remember the percentage. If anyone knows it, please say it, because I don't know what it was. But they wanted to match or get close to Android. I think it was either 25 or 30% over a certain amount of years. They had this big goal in mind on a global footprint. And that install rate's going up in places like Korea. But here's the deal. If you can't get onto these cloud gaming services that these countries and these regions are asking for, where are they going to go? They're going to go back to Android. And that's going to drop revenue. It's going to drop units being sold. And that's where I think the only way that I think Apple's going to change, aside from a legal decision, if something were to change, is consumers are going to have to force it. Once they start losing money, that's when you're going to start seeing them do a 180 on this.
True. So
Well, I'm not a mobile gamer, and I've already been saying for the last however long, if the Pixel 5 comes out with decent specs, even slightly rivaling the 12, if Apple don't change their stance, I'm going to jump ship. I'm going to change my ecosystem because, cloud gaming is a part of life now.
True. So question for you guys, right? You guys see what Epic Games did with creating their own store to rival Steam, right? These rumors and speculation that Epic might actually go that route for mobile gaming. What's your take on that? Do you see that being something that happens? Do you see it as a good move? Let's start with Jerry.
Yeah, all this stuff is really tying in together. And I mean, Chase, nobody's really going to say it any better. And Chase and Marchief have been 100% spot on with all the arguments with the developer fee of the 30%. And then there's the cloud gaming side. They're two separate things, but you're going to see these companies put them together to try to win some piece or another. I don't think there's any winning the 30% thing either. I would still like to see that come down for developers. I'm always for the smaller guy than I am the bigger guy. That's just my stance on that. But it's not going to happen legally. But enough attention comes to it, the public could push for it. When it comes to the cloud gaming thing, Apple will change. Apple will be 2 to 3 years behind everybody else forever. It just seems like the case. I've had an Apple phone since 2007. I've had every single one that has come out. So I know the deal with them, but the landscape and the gaming landscape is changing rapidly. A year ago, cloud gaming was like, people were like, well, what? That's not even close. No, now we're getting there, and it's growing quick. And North America, that's where I'm at. I'm not going to game on my phone. But I have a buddy from the Philippines who watches every movie on his phone, plays all his games on his phone, does everything on his phone, and he has an iPhone and he wants to play all these other things and he can't. I can tell you he'll be changing. He's not gonna stick with that. So they've got to do something, but how fast will they do it? I don't have a lot of faith in Apple doing it quickly, but I hope it's by next year at the latest, because I think this time next year, cloud gaming is again at least 2 times bigger than it is now, and so on and so forth. And we do lack internet infrastructure in North America more than you would think. So a lot of people still don't have the internet to support these services. But over the next 2 to 3 years, you're going to see some nice changes, I think, and more internet available for more people, especially wirelessly and through cell, that they'll be able to play those things. So Apple's got to get on board and get all that kind of stuff done. But the whole Epic thing with that, I don't think they're doing anything with the 30. I do think they might be working on their own streaming type thing for games, and they want to jump in and get that changed so that they can be on iOS and things like that. Right. But they're probably a little ways out from doing that.
Right. Okay. Anyone else want to add to this before we move to the next segment?
I just want to say there's always an ulterior motive. Don't think that companies are doing things for the best interest of you at the end of the day. They're not.
That's what I was going to
pocket.
That's what I was going to say. If Epic are going to do something, please set an industry standard rate. So in the end, they can't change it in the future. So it goes across all companies.
Right.
And focused on cloud game or mobile.
As far as the mobile gaming platform goes for Epic, just look at the state of play of the Epic Game Store in general. I don't think until the last year it had any form of good reputation. All I've heard was, bad things, being hacked, not being able to purchase, double purchasing, a whole host of issues. And if it's taken them that long to get their current store right, considering how fresh mobile gaming is, and then they've got to get their mobile gaming store installed on however many millions of Android and iOS devices, I think it would be a really stupid move, to be honest.
Okay. That's I think it would be too, but again, you can never sleep on Epic. They will find ways to make money. So that would not surprise me if they go that route, honestly speaking. All right, cool. Anyone else from the panel want to add to this? If not, we're going to be moving to Stadia news. Anyone else?
What the Stadia news?
So actually, that's something I do want to talk about. So as you guys know, Google Stadia every Tuesday, they have the updates where they tell us what's coming for Google Stadia. And this Tuesday, I have to say, was a little underwhelming, right? If you are into playing Google Stadia, because they hardly let us know and then knew that we didn't know previously. So we got a release date with Rock of Ages 3. But before we get to that, I just want to know for you guys on the panel, where do you stand with Google Stadia right now? We know that the fall lineup is pretty impressive, right? We got Cyberpunk possibly coming. We have Assassin's Creed. We have NBA 2K. So I think they're set for the fall. But right now, state of Stadia, how would you guys rate it? Let's start with you, Chase. What would you say about Stadia right now?
God, you just named the actual the Patreon podcast I did over on for this week on Stadia Unfiltered. It was literally the name of it was the State of Stadia, and I talked about the
Oh,
good and
really?
bad. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, it's a mixed bag. Look, there's a lot of good things about this platform, and I always look at both sides of it. Again, let me separate this out when I talk about this. Personally, for me, my use case, I have no issues with it. It runs great. It fits everything that I need. I don't have any problems with it. I've never had any complaints about it, other than I wish they would get mobile parties on there like ASAP. That's my only complaint. Other than that, everything else I've had, a pretty good experience with. On the consumer side of it, though, it's a mixed bag. We know it runs, we know it works. It's the best version of cloud gaming that exists in the marketplace. That there's no question, you can't argue that. But there's the other side of it. And I think this is where it's been a roller coaster for them. And there's no consistency, unfortunately, in this. Their communication strategy is terrible. It's absolutely terrible. I don't want them to be quiet. Them talking on Tuesday was better than saying nothing. But we're at a point now that we need a roadmap. And I think I have to keep going back to this multiple times. I think Jack Buser, God love him, he's one of the most honest people in the industry. I love the guy to death. I think he was the most honest person from Google this year. He did an interview with IGN and said, this has been a data collection phase.
Okay.
If that's what this is, then say it, Google.
Right.
Say what it is this year. Just be honest with people and say it up front. Because if 2020 is a throwaway year, and that's fine. Listen, for people that are already on the ecosystem, I think they'll accept it. I think they'll be fine with it. But you've got people out there that are dogging this thing, and you've got the general consumer marketplace that's trying to look at this and say, is this something where I want to go? And you've got all these weird communication things that are happening with it. You've also got people that are saying, okay, well, if I'm going to play FIFA and I'm going to play Madden, is it coming day and date to Stadia? Oh, it's not. Well, then I'll just go to the Xbox or the PlayStation instead.
Right.
So they're in this uphill battle this year when, yes, it's a long-term strategy. And let me be very clear. I know this is a long-winded explanation, but I promise I'm getting to a crescendo here.
Yeah.
It's a long-term strategy, but first impressions in business mean everything. And sometimes it's very hard when you're trying to play a long-term game in business to say, I'm building something versus I'm digging my way out of something. And right now, Google is in the position where they're digging themselves out of a hole. They're not building something. And this next-gen console generation, it's kind of drowning them out right now, even with them not having exclusives. That's what the talk is. And it's going to continue to be that until Google comes out and they have a hook. They have a reason that someone should come and be on the platform right now. And until that happens, I dare say, sadly, and this pains me to say again from the consumer side of it, they're not building something, folks. Yes, they're putting features on. They are. Yes, that is happening. No argument. But I think they're digging out of a position that they shouldn't have been in to begin with. And that's a much harder place to work from than it is from building something.
Nicely said. Nicely. I've preached that too, right? When I streamed the launch of Stadia, yeah, the PR definitely needs help. But yeah, good point of that. How about you, Jared? What's your take on the state of Stadia right now?
Yeah, agreed. Stadia has the best streaming tech in cloud gaming right now by far. I don't use them a lot for gaming, but I use them a lot for testing, of course, on the channel. And every time I go to mess with a game on Stadia or to work on a video for them, it's like I remember why I like it. I open up my browser, I click play on the game. I'm literally less than 10 seconds from the time I sit down to my already booted computer to the game loading up. It's a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
Player base is a huge issue for me because there's not enough cross-play on there. So you either need a huge player base or a lot of cross-play features in the games. So you need a lot of games on there that are already cross-play. I've said many times they need Warzone and other games on there, and they need to spend some money to make that happen. If I could play Warzone cross-play on Stadia, I would play Warzone on Stadia 90% of the time. I can tell you right away. The way their controller works, their latency, everything, it's fantastic. The marketing's horrible. They are a console. They may be in the cloud, but they are a console, and they have not nurtured this thing and taken care of it like it was a console launch, and they should have. They've got no mascot, and I know that sounds funny, but they don't. They don't have a Mario or a Sonic or a Chief or Halo Chief, not you Chief, or any, or any of that stuff. They don't have any of it. They didn't have exclusives ready at launch. They didn't have a mascot ready. They had no marketing around a Bandicoot like PlayStation 1. They didn't have any of it, and that's been the huge holdback. And that's why Chase, like he's saying, instead of building this service for the past almost year, it's felt like it came out and then they started digging out right away for me and just trying to get to a point where the consumer is going to want to go there and play, and just not enough people want to. But it is a great service. It has a long ways to go, and the fall games are going to be great, but they've got a ways to go for sure.
Right. So I think it's interesting that you mentioned that, and you too, Chase, because I did a video on this a while ago when Stadia first released. But the way Google operates is that they put out a product or a service and build onto it. And I was asking the question, right, is this a good model for Google Stadia? Because the gaming market is a beast, right? People have, they're very, very different. They have less patience for BS. So it's either you bring it or you don't. And so I don't think this approach is clearly working for Google. And I think they need to think otherwise, think of a different way to go about this, because it's not working. But I do want to hear from you, Holtz. What's your take on this?
In my state of mind, I think Google's Stadia is in a great place for me, because if Google looks at my data, they go, here's a gamer who's bought 6 full price games, 8 heavily discounted. He's made up for family sharing. He's made up for crowd play. We showed it in one of his favorite games. And he's telling us within this year, he's going to pre-order or buy another 8 games. So they're going to look at someone like me and go, we can't be doing wrong in his mind, even though they're still getting a lot of hate. So to me, I'm really loving what they're offering for a gamer like me.
Good to hear. Good to hear. How about you, Chief? What's your take on this?
I'm still waiting for Stadia to do something, and I think the final nail in the coffin for me really is the last couple of weeks. We know crowd plays out there. We know YouTube streaming's out there. It's been out there a few weeks now, 2, maybe 3 weeks. Still no announcements from the community stream. Still nothing from Stadia on a roadmap. We know their PR and their marketing team is poor at best, but there's no hiding that they are testing these features. So why not just come out and tell us, what the plan is, when it's actually going to come mainstream? I don't understand why they have to do all this cloak and dagger stuff. And as you say, the gaming world is far less, patient when it comes to this sort of stuff. And we're approaching the tail end of the year now, and we still don't have a whole bunch of features that were promised at launch. And I think it's really, the iterative development cycle is not a console development cycle. I don't think it is working. But as others have said, it works. My kids play on Stadia more than I do, usually the Crew 2. So just being able to open my phone, say play Crew 2 on the dining room TV, and watch them run off and start playing is great. I can't do that with anything else. I certainly can't do that with my PC or if I had any other consoles. So the fact that I know that I can just press that button and I know that it's just going to work is great. But the lack of crossplay, I know we're going to come on to some of the other news later, so I won't kind of go into it too much. But I think there's nothing that wants me to go back to Stadia right now. Rogue Company's not there, Hyperscape's not there. A lot of the new games that are, pushing people to do crossplay, to engage with their users or people and be co-op players again, it's just missing. So I still feel that Stadia, as people have said, is playing catch up. It's trying to dig itself out of a hole, and it doesn't have any of that games or any of those features to throw it out of that hole right now. And I'm just kind of waiting. I know it's going to work. I've got all my tech. I've got everything ready and waiting to go. I'm just waiting for them to give me something, a good reason to go back to it.
Right. I think Sunny kind of said it best today in his grid stream. He was like, I need something shiny, right? Like normally he's like, I'm content with just playing whatever Stadia throws at me. But he was like, I think about this time is now that they offer another great game. It just feels like there's a big void from the last AAA title till what's going to come out in September with Avengers. Felt like they missed the gap to definitely showcase something great. But enough of that. Duncan, where are you with this situation?
Okay. Jason's sitting there. He's ready for this. I have actually moved over to I'm actually worried about Stadia now. I'm not deeply concerned, but I now have worries about Stadia going forward. We have seen over the last week, I know you can't take these as gospel, but they give you an indication of the player base of Stadia, and it is shockingly low. It is really, really low. 2 of the pro games, haven't got like 5,000 people playing them, and Orcs Must Die and Destiny 2. That, yeah, this is Orcs Must Die. Since the data is reset, only 5,000 people have added something onto the Apprentice one on level 1, and the Apprentice is the most popular mode, or the mode where most people play. Then we move on to the games coming into the fall here. How many of these games can you recommend to actually buy on Stadia? Can you recommend getting Avengers on Stadia, a multiplayer game with no crossplay? Not a mission. Yeah. What about FIFA? What about Madden? If you're a big online player, can you, in your heart of hearts, recommend buying them games on Stadia without crossplay? No. Right. I'm concerned, even though we're getting FIFA and we're getting Madden with no crossplay, it's a bit like, look, here's a game, and then people log in and play, oh, there's nobody here to actually play with. I'm waiting here ages to get a match. Stadia needs a brand new marketing team, which we have said since even before launch, and we're talking November. Right. I'm just really worried that people are just it's going to become a complete another afterthought. Look at the hype and how much people are actually excited for Xcloud coming, and that's just a value added. That's not actually like a main. Right. Stadia is in a difficult place, and I agree with Holtz here where, if they look at my data, they say, I'm buying games, I'm playing modes here, but that's just me and you and a few others. We're not talking thousands upon thousands or tens of thousands of people actually sticking the numbers in here. And here's something else to think about. This is a console, and it's out in the main markets of America and Europe. It's out in most of the big countries and the install base is next to nothing. This is a massive, massive worry for me. If you think if it's just going to be going for the emerging markets, then it's going to be, are they going to play it? When you've got all the other games with Xcloud is getting pushed heavily in Korea and everywhere else, and India with the deals over there as well. I am starting to get a little concerned about Stadia going forward and how long they're going to be in this for the long haul, because there's no exclusive games coming. They seem to be cheaping out on all the marketing and advertising and everything under the sun there, the stuff you actually need to get people onto the service that don't seem to care about. Again, I've said this before, I think they're in love with the technology and not actually in love with the actual games. They forget about games are the most important thing of the platform, not the actual technology.
Yeah.
There's my rant.
Just like I stated earlier, I feel like, again, the approach that Google took with Stadia is just not going to work, right? They approach Stadia like how they would approach any of their softwares, right? We'll put it out there and we'll fix it. Gamers don't have time for you to just fix it.
If it were a Sega console, it would already be it would already be discontinued. I can tell you.
Exactly.
From experience.
True.
For sure.
True. And go ahead.
No, go ahead, Ace. I have something to add to that, but I'll wait.
No, I think with what Duncan was saying, right? Just if you look at all the countries that this is available, you think like the install base will be even bigger. But the sad part with all this is we've, preached highly of like when Google Stadia free base becomes available, things are going to turn around for Stadia. Guys, it's been how many months now, and we're not seeing that. Even I would say things have even gotten worse since free release, as far as like people engaging with Stadia. So that is actually what has me really concerned right now. But Chase, go ahead.
No, I think this goes back to the point I was making earlier, just to tie two things together, and it goes right into to segue what Duncan was saying is this is why you need a roadmap. They needed a roadmap for this year to say these are the marks that we're going to hit throughout the year. And again, people say, well, they're not that nobody does that. That's false. Other gaming companies give roadmaps all the time without giving away what? Proprietary information. It happens, folks. This is not something that's unattainable or doesn't happen in the marketplace. And I think another interesting misstep, and Ace, I'm going to drop it here. I'm going to go ahead and throw it in this podcast too.
Go ahead.
There was a really interesting conversation that I saw on Twitter, and I'm not going to say who the Google employee was, but I'm going to call him out here because this was a very interesting response. Somebody put out on Twitter from the community. They said that the crowd play demos that were going out to other streamers outside the Stadia community, and I'll tie this together. That it's not about the community, it's not about the existing users, and the Google employee liked that. Do you know what that says optically? It says that your user base that's currently on the platform doesn't matter. That's what that says optically in PR. And how they don't get this stuff, it's simple. It's a Silicon Valley mindset. It goes back to what Duncan was saying about, or actually no, it was you, Ace, about this isn't a product. Right. Like they can't treat this like a Google Home or a Google Wi-Fi point. This is a gaming platform. It's much different. Right. And I think again that ties into the larger issue of that whole statement about, well, crowd play was given to streamers outside of the community, right? That only had maybe 10,000 or 1 million. Yeah, that's fine. That makes sense that they did that, and they were trying to use that for a mass exposure campaign. But you can walk and chew gum at the same time. They could have also given the testing to people in the community as well, because what does that show? It shows goodwill. It shows that you want to be engaged with your current user base rather than liking a comment that says it's not about us. Because then you're saying to your users, you don't matter. Like it's so again, I come from a marketing background. This is simple stuff, y'all. We're not talking about like next level economics. This is the basic PR and marketing conversation points that you should be able to hit. It's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling.
Also, consumers are saying the same, though, aren't they? They're saying, "Well, we don't care about you, Stadia, because we can get these games anywhere else." So they're not showing the support to support Stadia for them to say, "Well, the community, you support us, we'll support you." Right. So it's a double-edged sword.
It absolutely is. I think that there's so many ways that they could be tackling, because again, what is this all about at the end of the day? They want to generate new users onto the platform. There's better ways to do it than what they're doing right now. And I think that's what it comes down to at the end of the day.
Make your current users happy and they'll tell people to get on.
All right. So I'm reading the comments. Go ahead, Duncan.
I was just going to add one wee thing about the lack of communication this week. There's there's 2 games coming out next week, isn't there? They could have mentioned that in the blog. Super Hot Mind Control Delete is coming out, and we also have PGA's coming out next week as well. Right. Top of my head. So 2 games.
Sure, Duncan. They haven't mentioned it.
Say it again, Chief.
Said have they? They've not mentioned anything. Can't be happening. Google's not said it.
There's 2 easy wins there, which they could have put in their Tuesday blog or even on the Thursday one, which we didn't even get this week. We've got 2 games coming out next week. Woo!
They don't build hype well.
And here's the thing as well. So expectations in the Stadia community compared to the Geforce Now community. 11 games came out, which we're going to talk about later in the podcast for Geforce Now. And Geforce Now community, boo! This is awful. We want more games. We want better games. And in Stadia community, if any one of them games came out, it would be flipping balloons and everything. There would be a parade and everything.
That is so true. That is so true.
It just shows you the expectations are completely out from whack.
But does the data show that people are not playing single player experiences, or are we only attacking Stadia because they don't have the online presence?
Well, I think here's and that's actually a really good point, Holtz.
Yeah,
I think the problem that it comes down to is what is going to cause someone to pick up Stadia, and I think in the beginning the argument was a valid argument. It's the user base out there that doesn't want to pay a subscription for a catalog of games. They just want to buy the FIFA and the Call of Duty each year, and that's it without having to get a console. That believe it or not, that demographic exists. There are people that's what they want. So they could hit that market. The issue comes in is like everybody has said, there's no crossplay. So if your user base is low, you're not going to get the games. And if you're not getting it day and date, then you've lost that user. They're going to say, well, then screw it. I'll just go buy the $500 console so I can play it in August, when then you're going to be playing it in January. I don't want to wait until then. And I know that's an extreme example, but I'm just trying to point out that that's the dilemma that you're running into here. But that's a good point, Holtz.
Yeah. But man, you guys, I feel like are hitting it right on. Like my whole thing with Stadia right now is, what is there to play? I know I have a bunch of bad catalog, but I think what you were saying, Duncan, with Geforce Now and Stadia fans just being really different, where Geforce Now, they get games, and just like we're still waiting for, GTA and what's his name to come back to the platform. But my thing with Stadia is I booted out, right? It's like what to play. I mean, the games that they offer, especially like the pro games, Wave Breaker, Wave Race, but what's the
Wave
Break? Yeah. I mean, that game was one of my most anticipated game to come to Stadia for the summer. And like that game has no substance.
Disappointment on Ace's face when he did that video
whatsoever. And then Orcs Die 3 is a great game, but the thing is, like, after a while, there's just no substance. And then to top it off, if you do want to get into like a multiplayer game on Google Stadia, if it doesn't have like you see people still playing The Division 2 because they can find people to play that game with. Like Breakpoint just had an update to where you can use, AI as teammates. Sounds great and all, but I still can't play the PvP element of that game. And I feel like that's an issue that people are having with Stadia. Just no one to play multiplayer games with, and the games that they're offering are not really meaty. I mean, the meaty games that we got were GTA, Assassin's Creed, not GTA, Red Dead, Assassin's Creed, and the Tomb Raider games. But ever since then, we haven't really got like meaty AAA titles. I feel like that's kind of what's lacking for Google Stadia a little bit right now. But
I think that should roll us into the FIFA conversation. But the whole lack of crossplay, you would have thought that they would have learned their lesson from previous games. The Division 2 has worked massively. It's still going. It's still going very strong. Right. If I didn't have Uplay Plus, I would be playing Division 2 on Stadia, hands down. Stream Connect, instant play. I'd be there. But we know that Legion is going to have those features, so hopefully that will bring a load of people back and having crossplay. They're hinting at there being more than just the 4-player co-op for Legion, so there's some potentially really exciting things coming there. And for that to be on Stadia, fingers crossed, we have Stream Connect with Legion. That would be absolutely awesome for the co-op play. But again, no information, so we're just in full speculation land for the next 2 months, because we know that Stadia is not going to say anything about that game until probably the day it launches. So it's just one of those things. And we've got all these other games, as Duncan said, coming out, most of which are single player or not going to be crossplay. And I hate to say it, but as we had the conversation earlier, and you saying about the quality of pro games, the pro games feel a bit like Apple Arcade. They think that they're the best games in the world for this like minimal fee until you go and use them. And then, as you said, you play them for like 5 minutes and you're like, nah.
Done. Yeah. Anyway, Duncan mentioned announcement and how you guys remember the Connect, right? We were talking about how it was kind of lackluster, and then I think the following week on Tuesday they gave us the announcement of what, like 5 games coming to Pro, and 2 of them
Um,
were unexpected or something like that. I'm just like, why didn't you guys announce that at the
and the
Connect?
mobile phone.
Yeah, the
And
mobile.
the,
Yeah. It's just, again, the PR and communication, something that they need to just fix, or they're gonna keep running into issues like this.
And not just that, but you actually had to find the Connect when we were going to watch it. Like like
Right.
they're not even good at promoting their own Connect. You had to go make sure it was the right one from them.
And go ahead.
Well, and to Jerry's point on this is they walked into an audience talking to casual gamers, but the audience was mid and hardcore gamers. That's what the E3 style
Yes.
press conference is. They're just tone deaf. They don't understand who they're talking to. And I know when people, and I think this is where I've had a split and where people don't understand what I mean by this. And it's not me trying to be not understand other people's points, but when I say that Google doesn't know how to talk to people, I'm not saying that they don't know how to talk to maybe somebody that might already be on the platform. What I'm talking about is they don't know how to talk to this demographic and this demographic, because they got to talk to all of them. We've seen in the historical context of platforms, when platforms have focused on one purchasing demo, they have failed. And you can't just focus on casual gamers. You've got to speak to all of them. And just because you sprinkle in a Sekiro or this or that, that doesn't mean that that's not who your primary focus is on.
Right.
So they just, I'm sorry, everybody's been spot on. I agree.
They learned nothing from the Xbox One launch when they lost hardcore gamers to PlayStation 4 after Xbox 360 was dominating. Google could have just looked at history and saw what was going to happen with that.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, but I think people only supported like Xbox One because they had online players like FIFA and Call of Duty, where the PlayStation did have exclusives over Xbox. So I think a lot of people only support a platform because they can play online.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
It's a big deal.
But to me, with FIFA, I just want to play with a handful of friends. I don't really care if I can connect with thousands upon millions of people. I just want to have 5 friends I play FIFA with, and that's it. Instant access.
Fortunate that you have friends on Stadia, because not a single one of mine in real life will switch ever to play until something big happens. It's all Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. So I can't play with friends on Stadia.
Well, I think Holtz has probably alluded to that one. They're probably not on Stadia. So the fact that there is no crossplay means that he still can't play with his friends on FIFA.
Well, with Holtz, I mean, Holtz, like your situation, I think a lot of people's situations that are looking at it from the positive side of Stadia. I think your use case fits it. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that the issue is what's the long-term trajectory for this platform, and if you want to see it succeed, I think we've all got to step outside the bubble and start holding Google accountable and say we need better, because we need that 5 friend base to turn into 10 and 15 and 20 and 30 for this thing to succeed long term. And that's the question for this thing. I just want to throw that in there. So
no, I feel like I think a roadmap will help Google out really, really badly. Where to take Stadia next. People want to know what's coming, and I feel like a roadmap will be really helpful. All right, let's move from Stadia. Poor Stadia, man. Let's put a band-aid on that.
We just want to see it succeed. I mean, literally, that's the only reason I get frustrated, is because I love it, but I need to see some more. I want to see it succeed.
Agreed.
True.
Yeah, and I just want to say, to Chase's point, they do need to look at hardcore gamers, because they say they're targeting casual gamers, but they've probably got more of a market of hardcore gamers who are really wanting to push the limits of games and what they can do with some of these awesome features that they tout. But we just can't get the users to do it.
True. All right, so let's move to Rock of Ages, another pro game they released. Okay, let's move on then.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, I just want to know,
You
guys, I haven't played it. So if you've played it, just say yes and let us know about your experience. Who've played it, go ahead.
No.
Oh, wow. Okay.
15 minutes is all I played it so far before the show, and I probably won't boot it back up. It's not my my cup of tea, if you will.
Yeah.
When did it become claimable?
Yesterday.
Yes, Friday.
Right.
Okay. So that probably means it's not going to get claimed for me.
again, these are the pro games, like I was saying, just mediocre, lackluster, and just not really that fun to play. I mean, great were the days where we got Guild and Grid, like for pro, we need more of those type of pro
I
deals.
claimed Strange Brigade and I still haven't booted out yet.
Saying, I think I played it for like 10 minutes. I
They just
got-
need some games with really good core mechanics. Like if they can find that kind of a game, it doesn't matter what the graphics look like. Like look at Fall Guys. I mean that game has exploded, and it doesn't have. Again, why is it exploded? Because the core gameplay is phenomenal. Even though it may
Why
just
is it not on Stadia?
yeah, I agree because it's crossplay, right?
Exclusive. No, it's
Crossplay.
It's a temporary exclusive. It's got the lovely wee wording on it. We're looking to bring it to other platforms soon.
Okay.
So
Okay.
so it's got a temporary, and it looks like it's coming to Stadia as well. But
Yeah.
if that doesn't have crossplay, that is daffy.
It doesn't have,
If it's
yeah. No, it doesn't have crossplay right now, actually.
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, so
that's
that's
But it's on PC.
It's
so
only
got
PC, so it
millions of
doesn't
people.
need it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll get it by the time they release on other platforms. If Stadia got Fall Guys with crossplay, that would actually be pretty cool. I would
Yep.
play it on there in a heartbeat.
really cool. But cross our fingers, we'll see that in Stadia. All right, let's move to GeForce Now news, guys. So you guys know 14 games have been officially released for GeForce Now. We got a killer bundle, which I'm really excited about. Even though I'm not a big Hyperscape player, I still think the deal is amazing for what you get. And then we have, of course, Hyperscape releasing on GeForce Now. Just want to know for you guys on the panel, what's your take on the GeForce Now news for this week? We can talk about all these games, but I'm sure you guys have watched videos with Jerry and myself making it in the GeForce Now news. But what's your take on GeForce Now news? We'll start with you, Holtz.
Well, to me, when I look at them numbers, I think all them games are lackluster, apart from South Park: The Fractured Butthole, and I give a round of
I knew you were
applause.
gonna like that one.
I give a round of applause for that bringing, because now I can sort of go on my travels and pull out my phone, and because it's turn-based, I'm not really focused in it. I can sort of just slowly progress, chuckle a little bit. It's a game that I thought I wouldn't enjoy, but I love it for all the wrong reasons. So
Yeah.
I'm happy to see that come to the platform.
So I haven't played that game yet, but someone's telling me it has like an RPG element to it.
Yeah, it's got RPG elements. You can sort of like cast slow fire, and sort of all the characters are dressed like Marvel or DC characters.
Oh
So
my
they've
God.
sort of got like special abilities, but in a South Park style.
That is crazy. How about you, Jared? What's your take on the GeForce Now news for this week?
It's a good week for GeForce Now. I mean, it was a little rough last week, but that's
Right.
how it goes. Definitely, especially with Stadia having a slow week, this really was a good one for GeForce Now. The Hyperscape bundle, I was actually going to bed when I saw it, so I made a video and put it up because I just thought it deserved its own video. I thought that was a fantastic deal. $25, season 1 Hyperscape, and 6 months of Founders Edition, which will probably have the new cards by the time you get into that point. So you're looking at a really, really good deal with that. It's good for Hyperscape because people that might not have played it and just wanted GeForce Now are probably going to boot it up because they have the season pass. It's just, it's likely to happen. And then vice versa, just being like, oh, I was going to buy it anyway, so I'll do it this way through GeForce Now and try the service. And I can tell you, GeForce Now keeps getting better. The more I play on it, the latency is getting better. The picture quality, even though it's still 1080 60, has been feeling better for me. They're doing things to keep working on the service, and I thought it was a great week. And I also thought that Remnant and South Park, of course, and Warface were good additions. I know there's a huge player base on Warface, actually, and of course, South Park. And Remnant is free on Epic, so it's a game you can go, if you haven't tried, go claim it, play it for free. Plus, you signed up for Hyperscape and got 6 months free of GeForce Now. I mean, there's 2 games and free subscription right there. Go play and have a ball. So I think it was a good week for them.
Seriously. Something people should note too is you can actually some people ask me, can you play, is there a free service, cloud gaming service where you can play free games on? And if you really do the math, you can actually claim a game for free on Epic and then use the free GeForce Now tier and play that game. Seriously, you can play games for free with GeForce Now.
Yeah, even with the restrictions, it's a fantastic way to let people try the service, and it works really well. Yeah,
absolutely.
Don't forget, it's got a load of free-to-play games like Warframe and
League
Fortnite.
of
yeah, you can
Legends,
play a lot for
Apex,
free
yeah.
on
Right.
GeForce now. Yeah,
Right.
Oh, yeah, just the Star stuff. Destiny 2 is free on GeForce Now.
That's true. So there we go. How about you, Chief? What's your take on this GeForce Now news?
I was getting worried about GeForce Now a while ago because the whole opt-in saga, followed by like 3 games being added and then 8 being removed, and we thought we were all going backwards. But I think they've started picking up pace. They've obviously had this one in the back pocket, and they've just been keeping it quiet. It was quite funny to see people shirking at Hyperscape being removed from GeForce Now and starting to get all a bit antsy without actually checking that the open beta finished.
yeah, that was a funny one.
It was like, okay, guys, calm down. Check that the game is actually still out before you do that. And then obviously they said, we've got a surprise coming for you. Keep your eye out on launch day for Hyperscape.
Yeah.
And then, what a deal, $25 for about $90 worth of stuff. So if you were going to play Hyperscape, I actually know somebody who said I was going to buy the Hyperscape Season 1 pass anyway, but now I've just bought it through GeForce Now because now I've got 6 months GeForce Now and the Hyperscape bundle, and I've just saved like $50. So it was an absolute no-brainer. So kudos to GeForce Now.
Right.
And they've been saying that they're going to be trying to onboard all the Epic free games or whatever ones opt in. And Remnant, if you look at the reviews of Remnant, it is an absolutely awesome game.
Yeah.
So for the fact that it's gone free on Epic and same day it's been available on GeForce Now, absolutely awesome.
Right.
I'll certainly be having a look at it because it does look like an awesome game.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move to Chase. What's your take on GeForce Now news?
Well, I mean, I think everyone's kind of encapsulated it really well. I think this is actually how you do a really good marketing campaign of drawing in a user base.
Right.
So I think this is great for them. I still am going to hold the position that I've held for a while, that their stance that you can only be limited to 6 hours on that advanced tier, that is not going to be able to work long term. And I know why they're doing it. They don't have enough blades yet, and it makes sense. They're trying to limit how many players are on at any given time. Yeah. But if they want to be a successful platform long term, that's got to change. That cannot stand for another 2 or 3 years. But again, going back to the positive side of this, I think they were in a really tough spot. Marchief mentioned it about that they lost games. They had that opt-in program, which really looked, again, optically really bad for them when you started seeing people not opting in and leaving the platform. But they're slowly starting to get some games back. And I think that if they can just fix their pricing structure and their long-term business plan, because I still don't think economically it makes sense. I think that they are going to run into some issues long-term with that. But if they can fix those things, they're in a really good spot. I mean, they're adding new games that are the popular games in the now. That's how you, and they're bundling them. They're finding ways to say, look, we're going to help you save money. So here's how we're going to do it. And we're going to give you the founders tier where you get the 6 hours, right? With that, right? The advanced tier. So you get that included. I mean, that's, I can't hate on that. I mean, business wise, from that strategy, they're doing a really good job. On the long-term strategy, I think they still got to make some changes.
Right. True. So before we get to you, Duncan, you mentioned something earlier that I just thought about as people were talking about the GeForce Now news. But you said there's an event coming, right, in September 1st, where, you're hoping for them to really take Cyberpunk seriously and, like advertise that with you. How about, right, if Cyberpunk is a deal like the Cyberpunk deal, right? For $25, $26 you get, I don't know if they'll ever do that, but I'm just saying, like, that would be pretty dope. And I think a lot of people will hop on GeForce Now. They might have to pay for that and take a loss for it, but talk about a way to get people on GeForce Now if they offer a deal like that. What's your take on that, Duncan?
I think that would be an amazing deal because I think you would get a lot of people on the Stadia side who would be absolutely tempted by that as well. That would be eating into you could see people going, yeah, 40, 50 quid, 6 months GeForce Now plus that. Yeah, I would take that. I would go for that.
Right.
Yeah, I think that could be a possibility. With the GeForce Now news of the week, and also all over on Cloudy with a Chance of Games plug, we broke that Immortal Shell is going to GeForce Now at launch. Oh, so that is the big game coming out next week, which is a Souls-like game. With the games coming out this week on GeForce Now, I think it was a bumper week there. You've got Hyperscape, you got the 3 game off Epic with Remnant, you got I'm not going to pronounce some of these names because I can't. We've got Neon Abyss. I think that is an amazing game, and it's well worth picking up. Holtz has said about South Park. The Escapists. One thing which is maybe getting overlooked slightly is 2 Point Hospital has come back onto GeForce Now. And if you remember, who makes 2 Point Hospital?
Sega, right?
Sega. So Sega is starting to come back onto the system as well. So there's lots of positives. And like you all were saying, I started really playing GeForce Now as my platform of choice over the last number of weeks. I think it is absolutely bonkers now, and it's really, really playing well. And I could argue that some of the games actually look and play better than they do in Stadia, but we don't mention that too much. Some of them are actually playing really, really well. And I love the implementation of I just have to get the right term, the highlights. The highlights is flipping amazing. If you're sitting there and you do a kill or you get your achievement in some of the games, it just records it and then you can post it. Why the hell isn't Stadia doing that as well?
Right.
But I'm really
back to Stadia.
Yeah, and it's just
back to Stadia.
No, it's just so frustrating. It's just because you can. It's just so frustrating. But yeah, I'm really enjoying my time in GeForce Now at the moment.
Right. No, Hyperscape, I believe, was another game added to the NVIDIA Highlights feature. So again, it's a pretty cool feature.
Oh, and Rogue Company.
Does work well.
Huh?
And Rogue Company.
Yeah.
Rogue Company plays really well.
I don't think Rogue Company has highlights.
Yeah. We were just gonna name another Stadia creator, but 6-4. He was streaming this game on his channel, and this was the coolest thing I ever seen. But Chase was on there too, and so he was playing. Chase, you were playing on your Xbox.
PlayStation.
Yeah. And then who else do we have on there? He was playing on his Xbox, right? And then we had someone. I was playing on GeForce Now through my phone, but cross.
Oh no, he was on Switch.
Switch, yeah. So we had like 4 different platforms playing this game, and we were all like, that is the future of gaming for sure. But a system that was missing was Stadia, right? Anyway, just let's keep moving. All right. So
I just wanted to respond to Chase's long-term strategy for GeForce Now. I said it before in other podcasts, Chase. I don't know if you caught it, but NVIDIA is a server company. So I think GeForce Now is just a way of them flexing their server muscles and they're showing off their cards. Yeah. I don't ever think that they plan on really making any real money from it. I think that they're just using it to use up the backstock, make sure that they've got people interested in NVIDIA. I think they are much more of a marketing company and using NVIDIA GeForce Now as a marketing strategy to keep NVIDIA on people's minds and tout things like highlights, GeForce Experience, the RTX ray tracing capabilities, putting that in the hands of people that can't afford them right now. But then everybody looks at it and thinks, do I want an AMD card? Or do I want one of those awesome RTX cards that can do all this amazing things? So I think that's their long-term strategy. I don't think GeForce Now price is ever really going to go up that much, because I believe, and I know that from fiscal years and the stats that they put out, they make far more money than anybody else when it comes to server architecture and chipsets. So I think, GeForce Now will always just be a marketing campaign for them.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to add on to that, I think you're absolutely right, but it always comes down to money. So if they hemorrhage more than they bring in, don't be surprised if prices go up. And I think the same thing is going to happen with Xcloud, by the way. They can't keep that price point at where they're going to keep it. It all comes down to keeping those blades and those server infrastructures up when you're running them. So
what do you think about the $9.99 it's supposed to go to when this $4.99 promotion's over? Is that a more sustainable long term, right? Because I mean, even Stadia is $9.99 for Pro.
Yeah.
So, and I would have no problem continuing $9.99, especially since I get 6 months after my $4.99 runs out now. So,
yeah, I think for GeForce, anything between $9.99 and $14.99 is probably the sweet spot for them.
Definitely.
Anything above that is just icing on the cake, if you will. So yeah, I agree with you, Jerry.
Cool.
True. All right, let's hop onto Xcloud, just looking at the time, making sure we are respecting time. So Xcloud news this week. Again, want to make some time for you guys too, if you guys have questions. So start prepping that in the comments. Just let us know what questions you guys might have. But for Xcloud news, the Game Pass beta was officially announced a little early, right? They announced that I think last week that it was Game Pass was going to be releasing September 15th, right? With Xcloud included in it. But this last week, they just let us know that, hey, if you have Game Pass, you can actually test out the beta. And we all hopped on, made videos on that. But just want to know, have you guys tried that beta? And what's your take on the Game Pass beta right now? So we'll start with you, Chief. What's your take on that?
I did a video earlier this week on this, actually, because I've been fortunate to be part of the Xbox game streaming beta that they put out on Android, and they suffered severe latency issues. Obviously, 720p, quality even on Android was not great, long load times, and then they launched Hellbound, I think it is. I keep getting the name wrong because there's Hellscape, Hellbound. There's loads of them. So with Hellbound was the first game that they launched with touch controls. It was atrocious. I could literally move my thumb left and then count the seconds before my character moved. It's like, seriously, what is going on? How could they release a game like this? Unfortunately, obviously, it's in the closed beta. So when it came to they've put the Xbox Game Pass beta out, I thought, okay, has it improved? Has the latency improved? Well, the load speeds have improved. The latency on controller has definitely improved. Touchscreen controls have disappeared. So they obviously are not confident enough to put that into the kind of open beta. So it'll be interesting to see how they progress with that, because GeForce Now doesn't support touch controls. So are they just going to keep that Xbox Game Pass? Well, you should have an Xbox, right? So you should have an Xbox controller, so use that. So I think maybe they're going to stay away from the touchscreen controls, which I think would probably be a good thing for now. But overall, it's definitely the slowest. It's definitely the worst looking. It's $15 a month if you want to even use it right now in the beta state. So I think they've got a long way to go. They need to look at getting that Xbox One S back-end infrastructure up and running ASAP. Because if they launch with the way it is, nobody's going to care. They're just going to install it and forget.
Right. Okay, good points. How about you, Jerry? What's your take on the Game Pass?
So knowing that I have an iPhone, right? So I'm not... I haven't gotten to do much with that, and I am waiting for September 15th. I will be testing on some devices, and I'm in the midst of getting some more devices that can run it just so I can test it. But I will say, on the positive side, Microsoft is not releasing xCloud or adding it to Game Pass to compete with cloud gaming. They're doing it as an add-on service to help their existing customer base already.
Right.
It's a great way to dip their toe, to start testing it. I understand it has plenty of issues. I'll probably run into all those next month. But the fact that anyone who has Game Pass is already paying $14.99 a month. So they're just giving you that feature for free. So if you look at it from that standpoint, and that maybe, like I've said before, you're out at the park or the beach, and maybe you can load up Gears or something or Halo and play around a little bit. Halo's delayed. Let's not talk about that. So it's still a great thing for existing Xbox customers. I don't think they're putting it out thinking they're going to gain more customers from this. I think it's just to put it out as a feature for who already has Game Pass, and I think in that aspect is actually really good. You can't complain about another free feature, and then give them a couple of years to get where they need to get. And I bet you'll see a standalone service as well, but they wouldn't want to launch that right now because they would look stupid.
Right. Good point. Holds, what's your take on this?
Well, as I said in the previous weeks, $14.99 is a bit too expensive for what I want, because all I want is a standalone tier for Xcloud where I can buy my games from the Microsoft Store or the Xbox Store, and I can access it through Game Pass game streaming. That's all I want. But this week, seeing the likes of Final Fantasy VII and Darksiders Genesis come to the service, I'm like, oof, I would play them for at least maybe 70 hours between the two. So, but part of me is upset that it doesn't come to iOS, because that is where I would want to play my Game Pass and Xcloud on.
Right. Good points. How about you, Duncan? What's your take on this?
I've only briefly played with them on the Xcloud. My mobile phones. I'm an iPhone person. My work phone, which we don't mention, is an Android phone, and it doesn't play it too well. But it's a bit jerky and whatnot. So is Stadia. So it's the phone rather than the service. But again, I think, as everybody else has sort of alluded to, Microsoft are playing this smart. Well, other people, we're not going to mention the S word again, while other people are acting stupid and doing bad marketing thing, they're marketing it as a value added rather than a pure service. So it's they get a buy ball basically while they're getting everything up to speed. We're not charging you this. You're just paying that Xbox game or Xbox Live Ultimate. They're being really, really clever with the way they're rolling this out. Xcloud will become a big thing, but they're just being really smart on how they're actually doing things.
Right. Yeah. Well, I want to know, Chase, what's your take on that? I do have a lot to say about what you said, though, Duncan. Chase, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I'll keep the other point I made earlier kind of concise, and then I'll just say one other thing about this. I think it's good. I think they did an excellent job with their advertising campaign. That's something that Google should have done.
Right.
I think that the $14.99 price point will not last forever. They're not going to be able to give you all those games and xCloud at that price. My guess is in the future they'll split it up where it's an add-on, so it'll be $14.99 for Ultimate, and if you want to add on xCloud, it'll be $9.99. That's the only way that it makes economic sense, because I think at one point or another, Microsoft is good at this. They're going to get everybody over onto that Series X, and as soon as they've got a high enough install rate, they're going to go, well, guess what? We're now opening up xCloud where you can buy individual games if you want. That's going to happen at some point. So I think the service is going to mature. It's not where it needs to be. I'm absolutely going to check it out on the 15th. I'm curious about it. And that's kind of where I see it right now. I think I just don't think long term. I know I've said that a lot tonight. It's just some of these business strategies that they're things that just long term they don't make sense. So I think they're just trying to get people on there. They're trying to get a user base, and then they're going to say at some point, oh, well, the price is going to go up, and it's going to be like the Movie Pass strategy. Have you ever heard that before? Get millions of users, and then okay, well, if we lose 100,000, oh well, it's not that big of a deal.
Right. Oh, great points. And yeah, I do, Duncan and Chase, something you guys mentioned, the marketing, I feel like it's on point, right? People know what they're getting from day one, right? It's just in addition, I think you said this too, Jerry, it's in addition to what you're getting already from xCloud, right? It's a way to just play the games that you would normally play on Game Pass and Cloud. Just clear. People know what they're getting and the price point of it. Again, something that the other company failed to do. But my thing with this whole thing, and again, I made a video about this, is that they had about 9 months with the game streaming beta that they launched. And I feel like, kind of like what Chief was addressing, I don't see a lot of improvements. So my thing is like, what the heck were you guys working on with this beta? Yeah, we can make the argument that COVID might have slowed things down for their progress, but to me, we still have a 720, display. You still can play it in 1080. It's still limited to 720. You can only still play it on Android device. I know they were trying to get an iOS. Maybe that's what they were doing, and that took away a lot of the time. And in the end, it just did not work out. But the fact that you still cannot play this on a Windows device and Mac, but let's just say specifically Windows, it's like, what the hell were y'all working on with this beta, right? Microsoft owns Xcloud, Microsoft owns Windows, so why is this not a thing yet? But again, like I've stated in the video, the way I play Xcloud, and Holtz, this might relate to you because you were talking about $15 really expensive. If you have Shadow, you can pay $5 a month to get access to Game Pass and PC.
That's exactly what I'm
Play
doing.
those games on Shadow. I feel like that is a better experience. You get to play it at 1080p plus. You get to mess around with the frame rates and resolutions. I just feel like
And you can play on iOS.
iOS, boom, there you go. So I feel like that's a better experience, honestly speaking. So realistically, I'm kind of disappointed with this beta. I thought they would have made a lot of progress by now. But it's a good thing for people who already own Game Pass, because again, you don't have to. You get it for free essentially. So that's my take on this whole situation. Anyone else want to add to Xbox? What do we call this now? Do we call it Xcloud game streaming or Game Pass? What's this called now?
Game Pass game streaming, is it?
Is
Game
that,
Pass
is
game
that
No,
streaming.
no, what it was. Game Pass
Nice.
game.
that's
Xbox Game Pass Xcloud.
I don't know.
But here's a feature that I want to see. I
Yeah.
want us to be able to create game lists in Xcloud, and then every time we open this game list, it shows us how long we've got until the game leaves the library. So sort of gives us a nudge.
So yeah, that's something that's not been mentioned actually, and I was surprised to see this when I opened up my Xbox Game Pass not so long ago. It was, hey, play these games, leaving soon. I was like, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean leaving soon?
So games do leave on Xbox Game Pass, so you guys know that.
So I'm sad to see Devil May Cry leave, but if it was on a game list that told us it's leaving in 4 weeks, I would have definitely played it.
Yeah.
It
And
does. There is a leaving soon list. It doesn't say how long, I think. It's
Yeah.
just soon.
But that's the thing, they don't give you a date. It'll be good to know how soon is soon, right? They just said leave it soon and no date. It's crazy.
I have noticed on PlayStation Now they're actually giving you a countdown clock. So so they're telling you how many days you've got left. I actually was messing about with PlayStation Now, and it tells you.
Nice. Yeah, they need to do that with Xcloud or I'm gonna call it Xcloud. Xcloud. That's what that's
We're all going to call it Xcloud for a long time
Yeah.
until they can think of a better name than Xbox Game Pass Cloud Streaming or some whatever it is now.
crazy. It's
You
crazy.
don't want to be in the middle of a game when you're on that list that says coming soon, and all of a sudden it's just like your TV got shut off. You're like, what's going on? I was in the middle.
I don't know why he just didn't call it. That's why they call it Xbox. I don't know why he doesn't call it Xstream. Just Xstream. It sounds simple.
Extreme. Yeah, I know. Extreme.
It's because they got game streaming from the Xbox. They've kind of screwed themselves over. So
Yeah.
now they've like, oh, cloud game streaming? Oh no, what do we do?
Yeah, it's crazy. I hope they figure it out though. All right, so we're gonna move to the last section of this podcast, which is Shadow. Again, our Shadow guy is not here to give us inside insight, but I can tell you based on what I know, there has not been any news for Shadow this week, unless you guys know something that I don't. Because there's no news, that I just want to ask the panel, have you guys been using Shadow? Have you guys been playing it? If so, what games and how has Shadow been for you guys this week? So to start, Jerry, what's your take on Shadow this week?
Yeah, I mean, as always for me, Shadow works really well, especially here where I'm at on the U.S. East Coast. My latency is fantastic. My picture quality is usually good. No real issues with Shadow. I actually finished talking about playing Shadow on iOS to play Xbox games. I actually found the time and finished beating Gears 5 on my phone through Shadow, and that was really cool.
Awesome.
I have a new problem. I got to see what happens with Avengers on Shadow on release day, because I've tried to play the beta.
Yep.
And the boost tier's CPU is so underpowered, it stays at 100% the entire time, and you get huge freezes and stutters, and it's absolutely unplayable. Whereas I've played it on the max settings 1080 and 2080 just fine. I've played it on my RTX 2060 local build just fine. I even played it a little bit on my Ryzen 2600 1050 Ti build, and it ran with that okay. So Shadow, if this game still doesn't run on Shadow on launch day, if the CPU optimization is not better, I'll be making my first video ever saying the first game Shadow cannot run. And I don't want to have to do that. But it looks like it's going to happen if something serious doesn't happen with that release. I was very frustrated. I couldn't even make a video on it because the game just absolutely will not run.
Interesting. I haven't tried the beta. So the beta.
I mean, I like the beta. I'm really hyped for Marvel Avengers as well. But the fact that Shadow's doing this is a real issue for them with their underpowered CPU on the boost here.
Yeah. You would think that the boost should be able to handle the beta, at least just make it playable. I'm surprised
their CPU scores under a 1600X.
Wow.
Yeah, that 4-core 8-thread Xeon 2678 they have on their boost here is really bad.
Wow.
The Quadro P5000 graphics card that's like around a 1080 to a 1080 Ti, and it's pretty close to that, is fine. But there are a lot of games you'll play, and that card will be running at 50, 65%, and the CPU can't push it. And then we get a new game like Marvel hit it, and the CPU says, no way, I'm not even going to try to run this for you.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, that stinks. That's a bummer.
I'm hoping the release is better, but I don't have high hopes after seeing everything I saw today playing it on so many systems, and then it just not being able to run on there at all.
Interesting. Okay.
There's your Shadow news. Might be the first game that doesn't run on Shadow Boost. There you go.
Yeah,
Valorant, Jerry. Valorant.
Well, yeah, that's because you literally can't boot the game. No, I can boot Marvel and get in and try to play, and Thor just kind of he won't move, and it just sits there for 30 seconds before you hit the guy. It's really bad.
Community turn against you and say maybe it was your rig or internet. They'll just deny.
Oh, we can't do that. I got all the goodies. I got all the goodies here.
Anyone else with Shadow experience for the week? I know I'm playing Horizon Zero Dawn, and it's pretty decent. I'm having a good time with it and Shadow. But that's anyone else playing Shadow?
I've been playing more Shadow Rivals than Shadow recently. I've actually been I switched from Rogue Company Geforce Now because that's what I kind of go to, because I know it's just going to work on there. But right. I switched to Shadow because generally I did have a better experience on Shadow, and my latency seems to have got really bad on Shadow recently. I don't know why. It used to be down the 2030s. It seems to be up in the 4050s now. So I don't know what's going on, but it's not been very pleasant for me recently. So I'm hoping that goes away with some of the updates. But I have seen, it's always been a long-standing joke. If you look through the Shadow forums about the power of the Shadow Boost CPU, looking at the Cine benchmark, I think it was 620, which is, it didn't even kind of come onto the scale of equivalent type CPUs. So I don't know what they've done to their CPU, but everything that I've tested kind of similar has kind of been double or considerably higher. So they do need to sort that out.
Huh.
Well, now because I looked at the Infinite tier, because that's what I wanted to use Shadow the most for. I've been looking at Boosteroid because they had Horizon Zero Dawn and all the latest games as well, and it runs on iPad. So part of me is like, I can replace the service here if it doesn't hurry up and bring higher tiers.
Right.
There's some videos coming out this week that will interest you greatly, then, Hots.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are lucky that works over there. You can't play Boosteroid in the States. It's unplayable in every form.
And that's what I'm saying. We probably have Boosteroid, but like you said, you get maximum settings from Canada. And
true, and which is blowing away every other service I've tried when it comes to just the gaming part. It's absolutely insane.
Maximum, it's pretty. I haven't tested it out yet, but just watching Chief's videos and your video, Jerry, it looks
They're
really
doing some good things, yeah, for sure.
Cool. All right, so we're gonna take some questions here, unless any of you guys want to add more to Shadow. But Chief, were you able to gather some questions, or should I?
Yes, there was one quite early on, which I am going to address because I think it's quite a big one. I'm not sure if they're still here or not, but GTA 5 rumored to come to Stadia.
Okay.
Yeah, I know Duncan's holding his head. And I think this is a rumor. You know, GTA 5 has probably been on every single platform
Yeah.
that can even think about running it. The
Yeah.
load times. Now, I've been testing some other cloud PCs and cloud gaming systems. GTA 5 is always on there. It's one that gets asked about, you know, for it's a running joke for GeForce Now.
Yeah.
And it's and also for Stadia, I guess. But if Stadia can get it and reduce those load times, then I think it's going to have a good way to go. But considering the fight that Epic have just thrown in Google's court, I really don't think it's going to happen anytime soon.
Can I ask why? Because people have, I would say by now, played the single play of GTA 5, right? The reason why GTA 5 is selling because the online is still probably one of the best at what it does. So people are going to get it for the online, right? That's what people are playing GTA 5. That's why it's still one of the best selling games. It's not cross-platform play, right? The game is still not free. Unless GTA goes free and incorporate cross-platform play, it come to Stadia. It's not who you gonna play with. I'm not trying to be mean, but like who it's gonna run into the same issues that we've been having and talking about here. Stadia is struggling right now because there is hardly anyone on playing games.
Yeah, I think it'll run good on Stadia. You just need to patch AI teammates. So,
That's just my biggest. It'll be good for Stadia. I made a video about this with Avengers coming in. A lot of people gave me flack for it, but same issue with that as well. We need people in Stadia, right, to purchase games, play games, and the issue that people are having is just not enough people in Stadia to be playing these games. But just want to hear from anyone else here who want to answer this question.
Yes, I think it's coming, and I would really. I'm not a betting man, and but I would bet it is coming because of Take Two, big supporter of Stadia, so I think it's nailed on to coming with the next gen versions of them. Then you get into the question: which version will Stadia get? Will it get the next gen, or will it get the PlayStation 4 or Xbox version? But yeah, I do think it's coming.
Yeah.
But it's shipping free with all PS5s.
It's a good point.
Stadia is going to need Gen 2 if they're going to go next gen on GTA 5. That's not going to run on what they have now.
Right. Unless this is a free pro game for a long time. I'm not just talking about a month's period. Give us like what they did for Destiny 2, where that game was free for pro and give a lot of people a lot of opportunity to claim it. That's my anyway. Chase, what's your take in this, man? Just want to know where you are.
Duncan is the journalist. He knows his intuition is. Look at him looking. He's the person that I trust when he looks at certain things and looks at trends.
Right.
So I have a divergent opinion on it. So in one avenue, we all thought Apex was coming to the platform, and then EA basically said it's not coming to the platform, and we all jumped at, they were probably PR speak, right? And to be fair, PR companies do this, and PR divisions of companies do this, is what I meant to say. They downplay something if they don't want to announce it. But I think until we hear something official, I would not run any one direction with this, because it's going to set unfair expectations. And I think this goes back to, it seems like it's an overarching point. I don't know if anyone caught the theme of this podcast, but it's Stadia. Maybe you need to focus more on cross-play games instead of actual games until your player base is up. I think that seems to be a very interesting theme from this podcast. And why there's not a Rogue Company, why there's not a couple of these other games that are cross-play, that's what I think they need to focus in on right now. And then once the player count's up, then, it makes sense to bring in a larger player base. One thing to you all real quick, and again, I feel like I've said that it is, but maybe I'm wrong on it. Warzone. Is Warzone crossplay, or is it locked?
Yes.
It is. So there you go. Call of Duty title. It's got the name behind it.
I think that would be the biggest one for Stadia.
big.
There's just easy wins here. And you know what, Google, you've got the money. You're going to need to start opening up the checkbook. You're at the place now. You got to start spending money. There's no more excuses. You're going to have to go up to Sundar and say, look, guys, we're at a crossroads. And they're past the crossroads, actually. They're past the exits.
Well,
You're
that's
at a
why I
divergent
said
path.
Hyperscape. Hyperscape is also crossplay,
Yeah.
and it's an Ubisoft title.
It's
Why the
Ubisoft
hell is it not on Stadia?
That's a great
Yeah.
point. That's a great point.
Yeah, good point, Mark Chief.
It's great.
Okay, right. Before we fall down that rabbit hole again.
Yeah.
I was
sorry.
With the Hyperscape, I think it's down to Twitch. That's my opinion, and it will come eventually.
Oh.
Yeah, I had a feeling that would be the case as well. But that's why I thought with crowdplay coming that they would have been a great opportunity to drop Hyperscape on Stadia. But anyway, that's another story.
Yeah.
Another question from Charles Oren. Is there a definitive list of supported devices? Someone tried to tell me that Xcloud isn't just on phones.
Xcloud is only on Android supported phones right now. There's nothing else.
And tablets.
Android tablets. Let's do
what may be confusing the picture here is it is in testing on PC, and a number of people have got it on PC as well, but that's not in the wider public as yet. It's doing, it's in beta, closed beta for journalists and other people, bigwigs and whatnot. But,
Yeah, so
but it is being worked on.
It should come to PC like Gamepass on PC, but not confirmed.
Yeah. The rumor is it's coming this year.
I know we joke around, but will it come to Android TV as well?
Should.
It should.
They're already revamping their Microsoft Windows programs to get ready for it. I can tell you from the changes I've seen in the Xbox Companion app and in their Xbox app on there, they are prepping for Xcloud, let's call it, to be on there. It will be on PC soon.
Good. And please, when it comes, bring the 1080p.
Yes, God.
My goodness. Can play 720 anyway. Cool.
Has anyone come out with Gamescom info?
Say that again.
Has anyone come out with Gamescom info?
Jeff Keighley actually tweeted today.
What did he say?
I don't have the tweet in front of me, but he said that he met with his team prepping for what is it? Not on live. What do they call that? The first
night live.
Open night
live.
Yeah, so that he mentioned that today in his tweet. So I guess we're going to hear something soon. That's the guess I have.
So is it going to be like a Game Fest situation where it's all like digital stream instead of meeting physically at, in Germany? I think that's where Gamescom is, right? So it's going to be mostly digitally, I would assume.
Yeah, and I give you 2 guesses, but you only need 1. Guess who's not mentioned?
Oh my goodness.
Duncan, stop.
Of course.
Moving swiftly on.
Yeah.
Why isn't anyone commenting on the lack of YouTube integration on Geforce Now and Shadow, but we complain about it with regards to Stadia? Since when did Geforce Now and Shadow get a free pass? I'm going to take this one straight away because they pitched it as a feature in their launch and it's still not there. Therefore, they are getting hype. Well, getting stick for it, whereas Geforce Now and Shadow have never pitched it.
Right.
Just simple.
The other thing too, kind of like what we were talking about with Microsoft, is that Google owns YouTube, right? So Google owns Stadia, it's just a no-brainer, right? If you want to push your product, you use something that's successful to push it. And so the fact that that's not happening, just should bring a lot of questions up. But that's my take on it too. Anyone else?
Yeah, it's as simple as that. It's everything Mark Chief just said. Plus, they own it. Google and Stadia is an obvious one, and they touted it and hyped it as well. So,
true. Okay. Any others?
Will NVIDIA bundle
easy one.
Cyberpunk with Ampere cards? We can hope so.
August 31st, watch the event. Guaranteed free Cyberpunk with purchase of Ampere cards.
Absolutely. I would be shocked if...
Is it September 1st, you say, Duncan, is the event?
It's either the end of August or August
Is that
31st.
confirmed?
That's the
Yeah.
whole 21-year thing. 21 years ago,
Yeah.
August 31st. That was the
I-
21-day countdown and all that.
Cool.
I got my dates.
It's all
mixed up.
21s this year for them.
Okay, August 31st. There you go. Thanks, Jerry.
So I hope though with this announcement, like we were stating earlier, that we do get kind of like a sweet bundle like we have with GeForce Now with Hyperscape for Cyberpunk and GeForce Now. It'd be cool if they do announce something along those lines. Fingers crossed.
I think you're going to see a buy the newest graphics card and get GeForce Now and Cyberpunk.
Oh,
Boom.
That would be
Boom.
a killer deal.
Oh, yeah, because I'm buying that day one. I just got to get the new
Yeah, but
card.
you would still buy that if it didn't have GeForce Now.
Of course, Holtz. Of course.
Sure. Sure.
Ampere
But it'll make it
3080
better.
comes
I can justify it even more.
out. Justify
Anyone-
that $1,000 price tag.
Oh, I'm not doing that. Come on now. They're going to give me an $800 one. We're good. We can get there.
Any other questions, Chief?
I have put the feelers out there, but it doesn't look like anybody's going to respond in time. So I think
There was one from Rage Quit. It looks like.
What
I
did
don't know
it
if you. I don't know if you saw that one. It says, "What do you think about the alliance with Steam and Nvidia? What do you hope about that?"
Oh, who wants to take that? Feel free.
I think we've already seen the hints of it. There's going to be an icon underneath the store page. Play now on GeForce Now. They've already said that's going to be coming. We know that's coming to the Epic Store. I think there might be just clear markings on which games work in GeForce Now going forward.
also
Yeah.
we've had the Steam Sync just drop, so
Right.
you can
Yep,
now
yep.
link your GeForce Now account to your Steam account, and it will pull across into your library all of the games that are supported off of Steam. And if you are quick enough on a Thursday, you can get ahead of the curve and sync those games, and you'll get the update straight away. So it's not an automatic sync. You do have to just go and hit that refresh button. But if you don't use GeForce Now for a period of time, you can just go and hit that and see what games from your Steam library have got pulled across. It would be nice to hear Epic and stuff do the same, because obviously Epic and Uplay are both supporting GeForce Now as well with a whole bunch of games. So it would be great to have that kind of association going in there. I think it would bolster GeForce Now even more.
Right. I think it's awesome. I think it's great. And the more, they work together, I think the better it is for the consumers. So keep it coming. I like it.
NVIDIA is in a unique position because not only do they cater to a large percentage of the over 1 billion PC players on the planet, so they have a lot of clout. They have a lot that they can get done, but also for all the games that come to GeForce Now, all a developer has to do is click a button. They don't have to redevelop the game, port the game, or do anything like they do for any other service. So NVIDIA is in a really good position with GeForce Now for a lot of reasons.
Right.
On the
So-
flip side, why aren't more people doing it then?
See, that was the point I was going to make. Is I think the one thing that's interesting with this is ease of use, because I've seen so many people when they've had to use some of the Steam Link stuff and signing into one and over to another, and then you see. I don't want to bring Stadia back into this again. God, I know we've talked about it too much tonight, but the ease of use. You click one button and you're in. So I think that's something that GeForce Now has got to, I think business strategy wise, I just talked about that. They need to figure that out. But I think ease of use is another big thing they've got to get ironed out. They got to get this to where all they got to do is click to play. All they got to do is click one button and they're in. That's it. Like there shouldn't be all these 5 different sign-ins to be able to do something. For us, like again, for a mid-core hardcore gamer, we're like, okay, we'll do it. But for any other user, they're not going to put up with that. They're just not.
To be fair, with Steam, that is the case. Once you've linked Steam, you can just forget about it. You can just go and launch those games. It does seem to always remember and work for me. Uplay and Epic, my God, Uplay drives me nuts. And the fact that I have to switch systems, Uplay only allows you to sign into one freaking machine. So if I sign into it in Shadow, it boots me out of GeForce Now. If I sign in GeForce Now, it boots me out of Shadow or my local PC or whatever I've done. If I boot it up on a phone or whatever, Uplay needs to get that sorted. So unfortunately, it's not just GeForce that need to figure a lot of this stuff out. And Epic, it just seems to be a lottery. Sometimes it asks me to log in again, sometimes it doesn't. But fortunately, Steam is the one that does actually seem to remember. So I think as far as the NVIDIA Steam alliance goes, I think that's going to be really strong. But yes, as you said, to make GeForce Now a real success, Uplay, Epic, and any of the other independents that they bring on board need to remember those damn credentials, because it just infuriates me when I have to boot up a Uplay game.
True. So out of respect for time, we've hit the 2 hour mark, but I do just want to give the panel a chance to just plug the channels and let them tell you guys what they do, because I think they're awesome guys and they all do great things. So to get started, Chase, where can people find you and what do you do?
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at Phantom TWOS TSI. You can find me every Tuesday night over on the Eddie Player One YouTube channel. I'm a co-host along with Eddie and Kai of the This Week on Stadia Unfiltered podcast. It's an 18 plus after dark style podcast. It's a lot of fun. We talk Stadia and basically everything. So come over to that. And then every 2 weeks over on the Club Stadia YouTube channel, it's the Stadia Initiative. And that is co-hosted by Brian Germani, who is 6'4", MM2K, Eddie, Megatron X, and myself. So if you're interested in Earth's mightiest heroes, as we like to call ourselves, stop on by and check that podcast out as well.
That's a dope podcast. Y'all need to check it out. Really cool people on there. How about you, Jerry? Where can they find you?
Yeah, on YouTube, Game Tech Planet, Twitter and Facebook are at Game Tech Planet. All kinds of game and hardware testing, cloud service testing, and the occasional review or whatever on the channel. Pretty much, if it's gaming, it'll show up there.
Awesome. Thank you, Jerry. How about you, Duncan? Where can they find you?
They can find me at One Day Escape on Twitter, or you can check out my website, Cloudy with a Chance of Games. And Chase forgot to plug his Just Fans channel, so I think you have to go back to him there.
That's awesome. There you go. How about you, Holt? Where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Holt86 or Discord at Holt, and you can also check me on Gamerman's 3535. This is Stadia podcast on Sundays.
Nice. Awesome. And then you guys know Chief, but Chief, introduce where can they find you, sir?
For those of you that don't know, I'm the voice behind a lot of the comparisons and platform overviews and stuff that you see on the Cloud Gaming Stream channel. Yeah, it's about the only time I come in front of the camera on the occasional live stream.
Cool. Appreciate you guys being here. Again, we do this every Saturday. We're missing 3 members from the panel. And when we're short on members, we'll bring a guest like we did with Chase. So Chase, again, appreciate you being here, man. Very insightful stuff today. So thanks for being here.
Sorry.
You're good. So again, appreciate you guys commenting and hope we were able to answer some of y'all's questions in the comments too. So we give about 10 to 15 minutes at the end of the podcast to do that. So
Can I say one last thing real quick? I apologize.
Sure, yeah.
I apologize. Mark just jumped in, the shadow guy, and he confirmed and said it does not run well for Marvel Avengers. He just finished the beta, and let me just say he has the infinite tier. So that's disturbing.
Damn.
I didn't want to I'm sorry to interrupt you at the end, but I just saw him pop in our chat over there and say that, and I just had to put it out there. He even has the infinite. Yeah, so let's see what happens when the release comes out. That's crazy. Thanks, Mark.
That sucks. Yeah, thanks, Mark, and thanks, Jerry, because I didn't catch that. Thanks for saying that.
Sorry, that was why I was laughing.
Oh, Dag, that's crazy that the infinite doesn't run. Oh my goodness! Wow. Okay. Wow. All right. But yeah, appreciate you guys. And this was a lot of fun. So it's cool to just talk about cloud gaming. So next Saturday, same time, we'll catch you guys on here. All right. Till next time. Peace out, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Later.